Good morning. I'm Specialist Nalley, and today I will be instructing you on how to determine a magnetic azimuth using a Lensatic compass. This task is number 071 Charlie Oscar Mike 1003. The overall classification of this training is unclassified. The overall risk assessment is low. We are inside. However, be aware that if you're unable to practice social distancing, you will have to wear a mask. Also, watch for any trip hazards or any sharp edges on any of the equipment. Expectations of this instruction is for everyone to be able to find an azimuth given by the instructor using the Lensatic compass. At your desk, you should be able to find a compass that I've provided you, as well as a handout that goes over the details of the Lensatic compass. If you do not have either the handout or the compass, raise your hand and I will ensure that you get one. Okay, no hands raised, we must be good. Now we'll start by going over some of the parts of the compass. First, we will look at the thumb loop. This is the thumb loop. Go ahead and pull that down. Now, we'll open the cover, which right here's the cover. And if you look inside the cover, you will see a wire there. That wire is your sight wire. We'll be using the sight wire later on the compass to do the cheek method. Now, pull back the rear sight, which this is the rear sight. It has a little glass inside it, you'll notice. And at the top, it has a sight notch. Sight notch is right there. Okay. Now, we'll look at the dial. Now that we have those back, make sure everything's pulled back well. This is your dial. Notice it has outer black rings. Those are used to measure mils. And then it has inner red rings. Those are used to measure degrees. There are 360 degrees or 6,400 mils in a circle. Your dial also has the arrow, which is your north, has south, west, and east directions as well. There is also a line on the glass on top of your dial. That line is your fixed index line. You will look at that line, and underneath of it will be the number, which is the azimuth in which you're traveling. Now, check to see if your compass is working properly by holding it level and see if the dial in the center is floating freely. You can do this by pointing it from left to right, and as you're pointing it from left to right, it should be floating along. You should see it moving. Also check to ensure that there are no other broken parts. You should do this every time you obtain a compass for use. If you do not feel like your compass is moving freely, raise your hand and I will come look at it. I will give you a minute to do this. Okay. Looks like everyone's dial is working properly. We will continue. To read direction, hold the compass by the base, which is right here. Put your index fingers along the sides, like this. Put your thumb in the thumb loop, other thumb over it. You'll be holding it approximately like this. Okay. Now that you have it, this is called the center hold method. Pointing the cover in the direction that you're wanting to travel or determine. Ensure that your rear sight is lifted so that way you can actually see down onto your dial. Once you're pointing in the right direction, look at your dial and see the fixed line that we talked about earlier on the glass. look down from the fixed line and you will see numbers on the dial below it. That will be your magnetic azimuth. Now I want everyone to find 80 degrees, and if you remember, degrees are your red ones on the inside of the dial. Once you found 80 degrees, I want you to raise your hand and I will come over and confirm that you have found it. I will give you a few minutes until everyone has completed this task. Okay, now that everyone has completed finding 80 degrees, I want to go into the compass to cheek method. Bring your cover back up to approximately 90 degrees. You will notice that the cover has the wire inside that we talked about earlier, your sight wire, and you're going to be using it now. Okay, place your rear sight that has the lens inside of it to approximately 45 degrees. Bring the cover down. It's going to match up with your rear sight. Notice the rear sight has that notch that we talked about earlier and the lens in the middle of it. You're going to be using both of those now. Now, hold the compass up to your cheek and look through the notch at the top of the rear sight. Looking through the wire here towards the direction that you are wanting to travel. Once you have found the direction that you're wanting to travel, you're going to look through the lens on the back of the rear sight, and you should be able to see your azimuth on the dial under the fixed index line like before. Now, I want you to look through, look down through your sight. I want you to find your 80 degrees again, like you did your last azimuth. Once you have found 80 degrees, I want you to raise your hand so I can verify. I'm going to give you a few minutes to accomplish this. Okay, now that everyone's accomplished this, now everyone has accomplished the task to standards. I will now record everyone as being accomplished. If we would have had to retrain, retraining would have occurred the following day, tomorrow, at the same location here at 0900 Eastern Standard Time. I will now report this assessment to my leadership. Now, I will have my assistant trainer go around and collect the compasses. Please have them ready for them. A few minutes for them to all collect. Now, the handout that I gave you, you can keep that for future reference. Now that everything has been collected, we'll go into the AAR portion of our training. What were we supposed to accomplish? What did we accomplish? Are there any sustains? Any improves? Any further questions? Once again, our risk assessment was low and no one has been injured today. I will now do my final inspection of the area. Inspection complete. This concludes our training for the day. Thank you.